Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Bethany. I'm an opera singer who has fallen for MLMs and manifestation scams, and now I'm here to spill the tea on all of it. So if that is the type of thing you're into, I would love it if you would like and subscribe. And welcome to this video. Today we're going to look at one of our top offenders, Calabrese. So stay tuned and let's do this.
Honey, I'm a perfect 10. Whoa, whoa. And if I say it enough, it gets ingrained in my head, and I start to.
So Autumn has said a lot of unhinged things in her years as a Beachbody super trainer. Beachbody is the MLM that I was a part of, then it became BODi, and last fall it went affiliate, but Autumn is still up to nonsense. And like other people that I've covered so far on my channel, I feel like Autumn has not gotten the appropriate amount of heat from the anti-MLM community because we do tend to focus on the top reps in these MLMs and the unhinged things they say. Now, Autumn was never a rep. Obviously, she was never a Beachbody partner, like a BODi partner is what they changed it to, a Beachbody coach, which I know can get confusing because she was a Beachbody super trainer. So super trainers are the people who design the programs, and coaches, before they made the change to partner, coaches were what the name they had for the reps. We never had any like qualifications to coach anybody on anything, but that's what they called us because essentially we allegedly were supposed to be like coaching our customers through these programs, and just having done the programs ourselves qualified us to coach them. However, we were in a multi-level marketing, in my opinion, a pyramid scheme. So it was never really about the programs or the products. It was about recruiting people in. And I don't know, Beachbody is kind of somewhere in the middle. With some MLMs, I feel like make wellness, like the ones that a lot of body coaches have leapt to are less about the products. Beachbody, I do feel, was a lot about the products and the programs. Obviously, P90X took off and was like a cultural moment. And I think there are, to be fair, I think there are some other MLMs where the product actually is a big part of it and people really love the products. When I watched Lula Rich, I noticed that was a big thing for them. Like people did really like the leggings at first and the clothing. And I knew people in real life. It was never really my style personally, but I saw people wearing the leggings. I saw people, just like customers, people who weren't reps, being very into that for a while. It definitely appealed to a demographic. So it is with multi-level marketing, when people say the product doesn't matter, it's not 100% true. For some people, the products and in Beachbody's case, the fitness programs were a really big deal to a lot of people. But Autumn definitely, Tony Horton with P90X is what like launched Beachbody, and Autumn definitely created, I would say, the boom phase for Beachbody before it started declining. I think MLMs peaked around the mid 2010s, and that definitely was aided by Autumn coming out with 21 Day Fix, which had the little color-coded container system, which for a lot of people was a very effective weight loss method. And even for me, I do think it's a good basis for, I want to be careful here because I don't want to ever say it's good to just like fully do that program because I know it was problematic for a lot of people. But in terms of just looking at it objectively, like generally here's what your portions should be. Generally here's how your proportions throughout the day, like how much of each macro you're getting. It was a pretty good like guideline system. And also she based it off of like the government my plate thing. So that's kind of where we are with like science now. Like as people, we kind of want to get like this much of each macronutrient, but she just made it like extremely calorie deficit, like streamlined. And I say all this because I started noticing, even when I was in the commercial cult, that Autumn was very unrealistic in her expectations of people being able to follow this. And later she expanded on it. Obviously, she had several programs with Beachbody. 80-Day Obsession was a big one. And she would take the container system and modify it for each program. So with 21 Day Fix Extreme, it was you weren't allowed things like alcohol or these other types of things. And she included her countdown to competition plan, which was like a beginner version of carb cycling. And that is how I mentioned in my last video that I have done carb cycling and I hate it, and it makes me someone that I don't like or recognize, and it's miserable for me. And I learned that through doing Autumn's countdown to competition plan, which I'm pretty sure was like carb cycling on easy mode. And even that was not good for me. Not good. So it's a no for me, dog. But then with 80-Day Obsession, she used the containers to create timed nutrition, where you had the containers paired together for you. Like, you, instead of just saying like you get this many of each color throughout the day, it was like you have 5 meals and your colors are going to be this for each meal. And you have them all 2 to 3 hours apart, and you have this specific set of macros before your workout, this specific set after your workout, et cetera, et cetera. So it got very structured, like a lot more intense, a lot more like specific. And she incorporated refeed days into that, but they had to be her recipes. And at a certain point, she did 21 Day Fix in real time, and she created like the Fixate nutrition program that was just on its own. And she and her brother, Bobby, who is a chef, came out with cookbooks, and they were coming out with new recipes every month. And the reason that I say this is because even when I first did 21 Day Fix and I looked at those food lists and I was like, I don't know, why is she specifying that the fish have to be wild caught? Why is she specifying that, this has to be organic, or this has to be whatever, I'm just going to do it my own way. Or like the peanut butter has to be natural. And I guess it's like, well, you're trying to get people to lose a lot of weight in only 21 days. You're going to be really restrictive on what they can and can't eat. And it was like no soda, like you're just not allowed to have soda. Like, if you follow it and you only eat off those food lists, it is unsustainable for the rest of your life. When you get into this world, this Fixate world, she created these cookbooks because obviously it's hard to track your containers if you're trying to make a recipe. So she's like, oh, well, I have the recipes then, and it'll just tell you what the container equivalents are in a serving of each recipe. And so it like infiltrates your life because you are so thinking in containers and you're so stuck in this way of eating that then you feel like the only recipes you can make, you can't just like make a Pinterest like turkey chili recipe or some kind of casserole or whatever. You have to make the Fixate version. And I looked around my apartment because I know I got rid of a ton of Beachbody stuff when I moved to my current place in 2022. I left Beachbody in fall of 2021, but I stayed like a member, and it was a slow disentanglement. I stopped being a active Beachbody coach, and it took me a while to fully cancel everything because cult deprogramming is a process. It's a journey. And so I moved to my current place in the fall of 2022, and I did a little bit of a purge, but not a total purge at that point. So I was looking around and seeing if I still had anything. Voila. I still have Fixate 2. I don't have the original Fixate cookbook. I don't know where it is, but here's Fixate 2. And it has Autumn and Bobby on the front when Autumn was in her short hair era. And yeah, so I've tagged some recipes because I just want to show you guys how like look how many ingredients. This is just to make Swedish meatballs. It is that many ingredients. And instead of using like cream or half and half, you are using like unsweetened almond milk, you're using cornstarch, you're using gelatin to try to get it thick. To be fair, a lot of these are spices. That's why there's so many recipes. But for example, gluten-free panko breadcrumbs, it's like, and then you're thinking, okay, if I use regular panko breadcrumbs, it's probably going to be the same. Is it going to be the same carb? Like, you don't know if that's still going to count as a yellow container, or is it going to add more carbs? Like, why does it have to be gluten-free? Everything is by default gluten-free, and like on the vegan side. Like, there are meat recipes in here, but like everything is gluten-free. It's always very labor intensive. Look, even just like there's snacks in here, like make your own pretzel chips with like quinoa and brown rice and like mashing them together, and like just buy pretzel chips. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, some of the desserts, like this is like non-GM, find your non-GMO cornstarch, okay? And make this banana pudding with, maple syrup, unsweetened soy milk, xanthan gum, aquafaba. So aquafaba is the juices from chickpeas. So I guess if you're using chickpeas for another recipe, you can save the juices and like make your own aquafaba. But I was flipping through this and I was trying to find more examples. I couldn't find as many, but I remember throughout my time in the Fixate realm, making the recipes, I would constantly have to buy a whole thing of something that I would only use a little bit of, or I would be looking for these ingredients that I couldn't find at just like a regular Jewel Osco, like a regular grocery store. In Chicago, we have Jewel Osco, or like Kroger. I'm a Midwest girly, so that's what I know. But there were a lot of fancy ingredients. One time I made her chicken pot pie. Obviously, it was not like creamy and indulgent the way that chicken pot pie is. And the tops were made gluten-free. So I'm sorry for my gluten-free friends out there, but like texture-wise, it wasn't giving, like flaky, like it was poor man's chicken pot pie. And I just think like you can get a chicken pot pie, either you can make one or you can get like a frozen one, and you can just give yourself a smaller serving of the real thing. Like if you're trying to lose weight, like you can. I think what happens when you make these Fixate recipes is that A, they're super labor intensive. B, they have a lot of fancy ingredients. C, they're by default gluten-free or vegan. D, one of the recipes I marked, you'd be like, oh, I want to make this thing. And you're like, this recipe sounds good. And here we have like lentil bowls. And I'm like, oh, that sounds great. Like lentils and like tzatziki and cucumbers and all this stuff. But you have to make the vegan lentil meatballs. That's another recipe. Or her spaghetti and meatballs recipe. You have to make your own meatballs. You have to make your own spaghetti sauce. And then you have to, then you make the spaghetti. And it's just like, it is a lot of work. There's even making your own mayo. There's sauces in here. And I get it. Like, if someone really wants to live their life by the Fixate Bible, maybe they're willing to make their own mayo. But even in the original 21-Day Fix, she didn't want you to use very much salt. And obviously, again, she's trying to get you really skinny in 21 days. So she doesn't want to deal with bloat. But Lordy, like, she had these seasoning mixes. And I remember my roommate and I sitting at the table making up these seasoning mixes. And like, I don't know, like I'm a salty girly. Like there was not enough salt. Ended up having to add salt. I was like, I'm I'm 25. Like I don't need a low sodium diet. But it's just, it gets in your head and you start to think like, oh wait, like to be a healthier person, I need to be eating organic and gluten-free and dairy-free as much as possible and all these things. And it's like, it really taught me to be afraid of or to be ashamed that I loved the things I loved or feel like it was hard for me to be a healthy person because I loved the types of food that I loved. And it was really expensive. It was really unsustainable. It was really labor intensive. So many of these recipes are a really good example of how Autumn does not understand how a normal person lives their life. She has either been rich for a really long time or just been working, like her job has been in fitness and nutrition somewhat, even though she doesn't have any nutrition certifications. She just does not understand how a regular person functions. So Fixate was kind of the first example of that, and that was clear even when she was new to Beachbody, even in her first program, 21 Day Fix. A lot of it, if you really wanted to abide by the rules of the program, you would have to make all your own seasoning mixes. You would have to eat off these really restrictive food lists and be counting these containers, and it's just not sustainable. And then it just got more and more complex with each subsequent program and more controlling like every part of your food life and making you feel like I need to be making everything at home. I need to be making my own sauces. I need to be making my own snacks. Like I can't buy pretzels. I can't buy tortilla chips. I can't buy mayo. I can't buy spaghetti sauce. I have to make all of this stuff myself. And she would classify like her spaghetti sauce as a green container, which is vegetables, but store-bought spaghetti sauce was a purple, which is fruits. And you get way fewer fruits than you do vegetables. And same with pumpkin. So spooky season comes around, like a can of pumpkin, not pumpkin pie mix, like just pureed pumpkin was a purple container, but a pumpkin that you bought and like cubed up the flesh of it is a green container. And I'm like, who is going to do that? When you buy a pumpkin and you carve it, it's usually to make a jack-o'-lantern or like have fun with your kids. You're not actually using it for food. You just buy the pumpkin puree. It's just these little things that are like, do you know how a regular person lives? So that is number one. She's constantly showing how out of touch she is. Another huge thing that I noticed while I was in Beachbody is when 9-Week Control Freak came out. So 9-Week Control Freak was actually the first Autumn Calabrese program that I DNF'd, did not finish. As we say in the bookish community, I am someone who likes to complete things that I started. And one of the things that got me into Beachbody was being able to follow a calendar, to do a program from start to finish, and the sense of accomplishment when you complete it. I'm still that way. I love to follow the trainers on YouTube that have full programs versus just making workouts at random. I do not like to do random workouts. I loved training for a marathon and having that training program, having that structure. So I did really love that. And I had been completing these programs for years at this point. And 9-Week Control Freak, it was the first one that I was like, nah, I'm not into this. So she had invented this door track thing. And I will put a picture of it up here, where allegedly, ideally, you would put this on your door and you'd have this resistance band with like a loop through it that you could kind of pull on, and you'd be able to do these back exercises and stuff. But it needed to be on a door. So I actually have a door right next to me. I'm sitting next to my bedroom door. I open it and it opens in because I'm inside my bedroom. And that is how most houses, apartments are, like, so that when you enter a room, you're like entering instead of having to be like, and enter. But when you set up the door track, it has to be on a door. The way you're supposed to set up the door track is that when it's set up, whatever side you're working out on is not the side that the door opens towards. It's the side that the door opens away from. Because most apartments and houses, when you enter a room, you go in, you would have to be in the hallway to make that door work. And there's not enough room in the hallway to pull the resistance, because you have to be able to get 4 or 5 feet away from this thing, even with the tighter resistance band. And Autumn got so pissed when people were saying, I don't have a door in my house that works for this. And she didn't even have it installed in a door in her house because she just had like a frame thing that they used on set, and that was her thing that they used on set. So they didn't even have doors, obviously. They just had it set up as a piece of machinery. So then she very begrudgingly was like, okay, well, we'll include like hooks and stuff so you can like drill it into the studs in your wall and like set it up against your wall. And a lot of people did that. I actually had problems with that because at the time I lived in a very old building, and it was actually one of those like plaster and lathe things. So like I had to like have a handyman to try to install it, and he like couldn't find a stud. It was a whole thing, but it was a pain in the ass. This is not like easy workout at home stuff. People kept bringing legitimate concerns, but Autumn is the type of person where when you bring legitimate concerns, legitimate objections, legitimate, like, this is not working for me, she will shame you. She will be like, you're making excuses. If you want to make it happen, it will. This is not that hard. And she would do that with Fixate as well. All the things that I talked about with Fixate, when people are like, these recipes are a lot of ingredients. Like, can you make things easier? And she's like, well, are you committed to it or not? And she'd have all these recipes for kids too. And when people would say things like, oh, let kids be kids, she would go off on a tangent about how, like, yeah, I am letting my kids be kids, but I need to take care of their health. And like, it's my job to make them healthy. And as parents, we need to make our kids healthy, which I do agree with. Like, don't let your kids eat nothing but Little Debbie's. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I turned out fine. We all turned out fine, and we had Cheetos, you know, like we ate sugar cereals for breakfast. Like, we're all right. But I mean, maybe don't give your kids Cinnamon Toast Crunch every day. That sounds really great right now. But you know, it's just the condescension. It's the condescension. That's the thing. It's the way that she was very condescending about it, and the way that, like, if anyone disagreed with her, they were making excuses. They didn't care enough about their health. They didn't love themselves enough. They didn't love their kids enough, whatever it may be. But the 9-week control freak thing, eventually she ended up making a version of it called 9-week control freak off the wall. I'm pretty sure Carl forced her into that. I'm pretty sure the powers that be at Beachbody forced her into that. A version that didn't use the wall track at all because people couldn't make it work. And it's like, if enough people, especially in an MLM where people are fanatical about you, people worship you, people will do anything they can to make this work. Like, we're overly committed, more than the average person, to doing these programs. The way that I committed to the meal plans in 80-day obsession and, you know, the 21-day fix and the countdown to competition and all of these things, like, I mean, I did 80-day obsession. I did not have a drop of alcohol the whole time. I followed that timed nutrition. Every refeed day, I made her stupid little desserts. And I was very committed to that. Like, the average person is not going to do that. That's above and beyond. And all of these coaches are willing to go above and beyond. And if they can't make it work, like, you really have a problem, Autumn. Like, you can't just keep blaming us. So Autumn is the most out of touch person and is still up to shenanigans. I have some stuff from Autumn's Instagram story that we are going to look at together today, because girlfriend is just driving me crazy.
So many things to share, but I'm also like, where to start? I just got home. I went and did one of my bossy Pilates classes. So where I go is like, technically it's an hour and 15 minutes. It's 50.
Already, we have Autumn is going to a 2-hour Pilates class. And on a normal day, it is 53 miles from her house in Los Angeles. She lives in LA, of course. And LA traffic is crazy. I live in Chicago. Chicago traffic is legit. I would not travel 53 miles for a Pilates class. I would not take a 2-hour Pilates class. So in the best of situations, that is a 4-hour commitment. An hour to get there, 2-hour class, an hour back. That's with no traffic because it's 53 miles away. That's with, like, you know, not really hitting any stoplights. That's the best case scenario. And you are taking 4 hours to commit to this Pilates class. Like, it's ridiculous, and it's absolutely not attainable for the average person.
3 miles from my house. Today, it took me 2.5 hours to get down there. That's how bad traffic is in LA right now, because so many of our roads are still closed down from the fires and then the rains and the mudslides. But anyways, got to Pilates, had such an amazing class. Like, so good. I'm not gonna be able to walk tomorrow or move any other part of my body, but I just love it so much. And
I want to point that out too, because I'm not a personal trainer, but I have a lot of friends who are. And the culture around soreness and being unable to move that was ever present in Beachbody and encouraged by Autumn is unhealthy. I just talked to my personal trainer friend because I have goals, and I'm doing from home workouts, and I'm trying to put on some muscle. I like to put on as much muscle as I can in my 30s while I'm still in my 30s, because I have read that after your 20s, it is harder to put on muscle and you start to lose more muscle. And so I'm trying to put on muscle, and observing how sore you are, you should be able to move. You should be able to walk the next day. You should be able to function and not be in pain. A little soreness is normal, but you shouldn't constantly be sore. Your muscles need to rebuild. You need to have those rest days. You don't want to overdo it. And for most people, you don't need a 2-hour workout. That is, I mean, are you training for the Olympics? Like, what is that? So my friend told me, yeah, if you are so sore the next day that you're having trouble moving or walking or functioning, or you really feel like soreness all day, like, it's one thing to feel it like when you move that muscle and you're like, oh, I worked that muscle. But if you're feeling it just like when that muscle's at rest, that might be a little too much. Like, these are things from her that she told me. But Autumn is all about like this hardcore, like, yeah, like, you're going to feel me tomorrow, you can't move, etc. And it's just like, just the fact that she is promoting a 2-hour Pilates class to her audience of mostly middle-aged women, it doesn't feel right to me.
Rael is so good. He's so meticulous with his cueing. He's so patient. So anyways, I had the great class, and then it took me an hour and a half to get home. So I've got some chicken and stuff cooking so I can have some lunch. Actually, it was so funny. I was driving home. So I ate breakfast at 7:30 this morning because I needed to be on the road by like 8. I'm driving home and I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 1:30. I haven't eaten anything since 7:30 this morning, and I'm totally good. I had my water with me, but like, no cravings, no food noise, no ravenous, no blood sugar crashing, nothing. I'm gonna eat lunch, but that is one of those benefits that comes from not only doing the nutrition of Belvital, but the supplements with Belvital. And now, if I can ever find.
So now she's going to go promote Belvital. So I just want to read for you what is on the screen, because obviously you can hear her talking, but she has a link, and the link says blood sugar and metabolism support. That is a link to Belvital supplements. Use my code AutumnCBODi15 to save 15%. So I don't know how this works ethically, but apparently Autumn is an affiliate for BODi now, in addition to being the super trainer who made the program. Is that allowed? I mean, it wasn't allowed when it was an MLM, but yeah, I don't know if she's allowed to. I guess she's allowed to be an affiliate. And then her caption says, I can't tell you how good it feels to not get hangry anymore. Between the Belvital nutrition and supplements, my blood sugar is balanced and I don't have that food noise or insane hunger anymore. As if there's something wrong with getting hungry after 3 hours, after 4 hours. Like, I'm sorry, isn't that like a normal amount of time to get hungry? I mean, I'm an adult. I don't have a teenage metabolism anymore, but I get hungry every 2 to 3 hours. And again, with the food noise, I think that's just a buzzword right now. What does food noise mean? What does that mean? Like, what does it really mean as like a scientific term? Let's Google it. Food noise refers to the persistent and intrusive thoughts about food, regardless of actual hunger. Preoccupation with food, even when they are not hungry. Constant thoughts about eating, planning meals, or snacking. Difficulty resisting food cues such as seeing food ads or smelling food, increased reactivity to food stimuli, leading to overeating or unhealthy food choices. So Autumn Calabrese has never struggled with food noise. Let's be real. She actually has been so preoccupied with maybe constant thoughts about eating, planning meals, or snacking, like in a way that's restrictive, but difficulty resisting food cues such as seeing food ads or smelling food, she's been like superhuman in her ability to resist that. And I guess I could buy her having intrusive thoughts about food, and that the way she describes food noise is basically just getting hungry every 3 hours and really wanting to eat something and not being able to continue throughout your day without having a snack. And that's just being a person. Like, and also this was never a problem until this year when she wanted to sell Belvital. Everything was fine. Everything was great when she was doing 21-day fix, 80-day obsession, like all of those things. In fact, 80-day obsession is timed nutrition you're supposed to eat every 2 to 3 hours for optimal muscle recovery and optimal metabolism and all the things she advertised in 80-day obsession. So which is it? Is it best for you to actually eat every 3 hours, or is that intrusive food noise? Like, you can't have it both ways. But it is not food noise. What you describe is just being hungry and needing a snack. And now she's doing this, it was so great. I could go, let's see, it took her 2.5 hours to get there. She did the 2-hour class and an hour and a half to get back home. That's 5.5 hours, 6 hours. 6 hours. And she's like, and I just had my water. And she's celebrating it as if it's a good thing that she was able to go that long without eating. That sounds like ED to me, my friends. People who have struggled with EDs, if you're watching this, please chime in the comments. But being proud of yourself for being able to go hours without food. And I know she's saying it's because of these supplements, but that's still, it's still advertising like I have these supplements that can suppress your appetite so you can go hours without food without getting hungry. Doesn't that sound great? Like I don't like that at all. It's giving Anna, and it's giving, like, how long can we go without eating and celebrating that? You're not, like, your blood sugar, there's nothing wrong with your blood sugar if you're not diabetic or hypoglycemic or pre-diabetic. Like, if you're just a regular person with regular blood sugar, maybe you just need sugar. Like, maybe you're getting cravings because your body needs glucose. Like, it needs some carbs for energy. Like, you're not supposed to go that long without food unless you're sleeping. And I don't, in the middle of the day when you've done a Pilates class, like, your body should be craving some energy after that. You should need more carbs to keep up your energy. Like, I don't even need to be a nutritionist to say that. I'm just a normal person who knows how bodies work. Like, and aren't these the people that say food is fuel? And now you're bragging about how long you can go without fueling your body? Like, why does the story always change? Why can you never make up your mind? Because you need to sell people something else.
The front of the labels. Y'all, you can finally get them as individuals. So before you could only get them with Belvital, then we released them as a bundle. Now you can get them as singles. So blood sugar and metabolism support, so many benefits with this. It's going to help with body composition, healthy weight management, fat cravings, maintaining lean muscle mass, so not losing that lean muscle. It's going to help with carbohydrate metabolism, fat metabolism.
No. I just watched a video by Erin Bees, and she is a personal trainer and she has all the certifications. And she said, no supplement is going to maintain your muscle. Supplement is going to prevent you from losing muscle. No supplement is going to like burn your fat. Like, it is resistance training and protein. Your metabolism, these supplements aren't going to regulate your blood sugar or your metabolism. Like, and if you're not diabetic or hypoglycemic, you don't need something to regulate your blood sugar. Like, what is happening? Why they're inventing problems for you to have and then selling you the solution. It's not even a problem you have. Suddenly all these women who trust Autumn and like her are like, oh, well, I get hungry every 3 hours, which in 2018, when 80 Day Obsession came out, was apparently optimal. But now it's bad. And so I have to buy these supplements because I get hungry every 3 hours, which is now a problem. Like, it wasn't a problem until you had something new to sell. So you created a problem so you could sell the solution to it.
So many benefits to this one. And this is one of the things that I really attribute to not having that food noise and those crazy cravings and blood sugar spikes and crashes. And then I'll put the link here for it so you can use my code. It's Autumn C BODi, BODi 15. It'll save.
Sorry. All of these things that she just listed, I'm like, this is impossible. Like, I don't buy it. Like, I don't need to have any type of certification. I don't need anything to say to you, Autumn, that your one supplement is going to help me metabolize fat. It's going to help me with my carb craving. It's going to help me build muscle. It's going to help me maintain muscle. It's going to help me with weight management. It's going to help me with, I don't know, is it also going to make me poop out $100 bills? Because at this point, that's what you're promising. Like, you are promising the world in this supplement. Try at least to make it believable if you want to sell this stuff. You can tell she's getting desperate. Belvital has flopped because Beachbody pulled the MLM component right before it launched. And therefore, everyone went to Make Wellness or Hue and Grace or somewhere else where they can build a downline. So they're not pushing Belvital. They're not buying Belvital. Their downlines aren't buying Belvital. They don't care about it anymore because they never actually believed they had hormone problems. Or maybe they do, but they are like, well, Make Wellness has a downline opportunity. Make Wellness has the ability for me to build a downline. So now my hormone problems will be solved with their supplements instead because it's all about the downline. And Belvital flopped. So Autumn is getting more and more desperate and promising the world in these supplements when anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together is like, that's impossible. Like, your product is not doing all. If it was, it would be flying off the shelves. Everyone would want it. You would not have to shill it on your Instagram story. You'd be beating people off. There'd be a shortage. We wouldn't be able to get it. It would be back ordered. If it really did all of those things, it would sell itself. As we just saw when we looked up food noise is not the same as cravings. Food noise is not the same as getting hungry. If you're eating as healthy and as like low calorie as Autumn does and as many vegetables and stuff, if you're following these programs, you are going to get hungry more frequently because your body metabolizes those things more quickly. If you are doing her programs, if you're building muscle, your metabolism is going to be faster. Like, you're going to get hungry. Like, it's normal. Like, getting hungry and having cravings is not the same as having food noise. That's a different thing. And these MLM huns, they just will co-opt whatever the newest struggle is. And we see this with Amari all the time. They're like, when all the research came out a few years ago about how a lot of our brain chemicals are made in our gut. And so sometimes doctors will prescribe probiotics for people with depression and having a healthy gut. The gut brain thing, like, it's based in truth, but they just ran with it and they're like, these are going to fix all of your mental health problems. And it's like, no, that's not how it works though. Like, they just take, there's been a lot of talk about food noise with the conversation around GLP-1s, and these MLM huns now we're seeing, and I still count Autumn as an MLM hun. They're like, food noise. I have that problem too, and I fixed it, and here's how, and let me sell you the solution. It's like, no, it's a specific thing, and people who struggle with it, it seems like from reading this overview that it's similar to something like anxiety or depression or any type of like mental health ED. I mean, EDs are like mental illnesses. It seems like it's related to like more mental illness, and it's like almost like a food obsession and like constantly thinking about food, which actually I could buy for Autumn because she is pretty obsessed. I mean, she created 80-Day Obsession and 9-Week Control Freak. She reveals in her programs how she is. And when I was on my way out for the final time out of Beachbody, I was still a member, so I was like, I'm going to do 80-Day Obsession again because I got really great results with that program. And so I started doing the program again, and I could not unhear Autumn's body dysmorphia, Autumn's body obsession. Like, anything, like, even just her, like, we're stretching at the end of the program and like her legs are out in front of her and she's bending over and she's like, it's okay to have like a roll. That's not fat, it's skin. And I'm like, you should have fat. Like, you should have fat on your stomach. Like, that's normal. Like, it is fat. And it's just like the idea that like any fat at all on your body is bad. And just like her body dysmorphia was so obvious to me. And I'm not a psychologist. I can't diagnose her, but her body image issues were too much for me to deal with. So I also DNF'd that. And that was kind of my way out of Beachbody completely. Like, I'm like, I need trainers that don't talk about their bodies so much and don't hyperanalyze every single thing on their body and are constantly looking to get like that much tighter and that much more shredded. And I just, it goes down a really unhealthy road. It really does. So in this next, I cut a little bit because she was just talking about auto ship and her code and stacking and what is the best price, and just don't do any of that. So it's not pertinent to what we're talking about, and just don't do it. So she says on this next story that we're about to watch, I'll read you the caption: help your body to combat and reduce the effects of stress, support energy metabolism, and support the body's natural cortisol response. Here we go, another buzzword. Let's talk about cortisol.
And we have the daily stress support supplement. Again, this one is so beneficial. So many things are in there: ashwagandha, rhodiola, B vitamins, things that help your body adapt to and manage stress. Like, we're all under stress on a regular basis anymore. That's just life. Hello, didn't expect to sit in 2.5 hours of traffic today. So just having something that's assisting my body with dealing with that stress and managing that stress in a healthy way, and that isn't gonna make me tired, right? Like, what is in the Belvital supplement, none of it is gonna make you drowsy. There's some things like L-theanine and lemon balm and stuff like that. You'll find those also help with stress management. You'll find those in Last Thing because they help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. So stress support supplement won't make you drowsy, helps your body manage stress. So same thing, you can use the code AutumnSeedBody15, saves you 15%. Put the link to each of them.
Again, stress management. It's giving Amari, it's giving Happy Juice. Yes, life is stressful. How many supplements do you have to take? She mentioned Last Thing. Beachbody had first thing, last thing. So something you were supposed to take in the morning, something you were supposed to take at night. Like, at this point, these people need something to wake up and something to make them go to sleep. Like, nobody can do any normal thing. And yes, we're all stressed, but taking a supplement and being like, this is going to help me adapt to stress, that's not getting to the root of the problem. Also, the supplement's probably not going to work. But secondly, is your stress like the normal amount of stress in your life, or are there exacerbating factors that maybe you need to address? And there are so many other ways to help your body deal with stress: working out, going for a walk, touching grass, although it's winter, dead of winter right now. I see snow on the ground as I look out my window, but I said I don't really like meditating, but if you like meditating, like meditate, deep breathing, drinking some chamomile tea, or even if you don't want it to make you drowsy, some, ginger. I like the ginger turmeric tea from Trader Joe's. Just like a hot beverage can relax you. Like, they're getting together with a friend and yapping. I find that to be relaxing and stress relieving. It's just, you don't have to spend all your money on these freaking supplements. There's nothing wrong with your body that okay. I mean, we all probably have things wrong with our bodies. But what I mean is, when these MLM huns are selling something, they're usually inventing problems with your body that either you don't have, or if you do, they are best resolved by talking to your doctor. If you really are having chronic stress, chronic insomnia, I am someone who struggles with insomnia. I never tried Beachbody last thing, to be fair, but I would already been dealing with my insomnia and having it treated with a doctor and a therapist. And that's what I needed. It's also partly genetic because various family members of mine also struggle with it, and it's been inherited. Anxiety is one of those things too. So some of these things you might have inherited from your family, and no amount of supplementation is going to help, and you really need to talk to a doctor. And also, that first supplement that promised the world, if that is not going to work, if that works, you won't be stressed because it healed literally everything about your body. Like, why do you need the stress supplement? It's wild. These huge claims, these things that people struggle with, selling a magic pill to fix all of them. It's just like, Autumn used to be the exercise and nutrition girly. It was like 21 Day Fix. It was like simple nutrition, 30-minute workouts, boom, boom, boom. And there were flaws in that original program, but if you take off your glasses and it's like kind of hazy, it generally is fine. It's like, if you generally follow the meal plan and you do these workouts that are 30 minutes and kind of hit everything and build your foundation of fitness, like, that was fine. And then she just started getting more and more crazy and more like dialed in, and making it more restrictive, making it more extreme, making it more everything. And now it's to the point where, like, she has a gut health program, which, what qualifies you to do that? She has a hormone health program. What qualifies you to do that? It's beyond unreasonable.
I have abs. I mean, this doesn't happen to women in their 40s. I'm a 46-year-old woman who had perimenopause. Can I say that? Am I still in perimenopause if I'm not feeling the perimenopausal symptoms? I love all of the moves that Autumn teaches us. Autumn in this program has given us so many tips, and she's also given us hope, and really like the way that I'm eating. I like the way I'm feeling. I tackle stress a lot differently now. I wake up feeling amazing. It just feels good that I am now in control. This program helped me find me again.
There's a lot wrong with that, but just a few things. You never need to have visible abs. Whether you are 20, 30, 40, 50, that is mostly genetic if you even have the capability of achieving it. And if you do, it takes a lot of, it's all about the food. When I looked at those workouts, again, it's like she started introducing all of these different things. It got more and more complicated. In 21 Day Fix, you just needed dumbbells, like a light set and a heavy set, like 5s and 10s. Not even like heavy, like 5s and 10s. in 21 Day Fix Extreme, you added the resistance band and you did the whole Pilates with the resistance band. And it was so annoying because it would the handles would snap off all the time. It was super annoying. Then in 80 Day Obsession, you add the loops and the sliders. And you have a loop around your thighs and a slider under one foot and a weight in another foot. And you're doing this whole circus thing. 9-week Control Freak, you have the wall thing. You have you're pulling on that, and you have a ball, inflatable ball that you could never get to fully inflate, in between your knees. And then you have a weight, and then you're spinning, and then you have to do a handstand. And it's just I'm looking at those workouts from that reel, and I'm like, who has this stuff at home? She's basically using Pilates machines. I don't even want to get into the cult around Pilates these days. I'm just I don't like Pilates. I don't like it. I don't think it's fun. It's great if you like it, but just the way people are obsessed with it and the way people are this is going to get you the sexy lean body. I'm it's just, if you like it, sure. But I don't know. It's just find whatever you like. Do whatever workouts you like. Autumn is so out of touch. Autumn makes everything so complicated. The meals she advertises as simple and easy to follow. The idea that these supplements will cure your stress and that is what is going to get you out of perimenopause and get you visible abs in your 40s. It's such false advertising. You're getting older. You're in perimenopause. You're going to go through menopause. It is happening. No amount of supplements or workouts is going to prevent that. And it's all wrapped up in this guise as oh, we care about health. We care about stress. We want you to feel good. I'm finding me again. But it's starting with the look, I have visible abs at 46. It's what are you really selling? You're selling the shallow, skinny body hotness. And you're saying that something other than food is going to get you there. It's these supplements that are going to ease your stress and finally get you there. And it's come on. Just get your blood drawn. If you have hormone issues, get your blood drawn, talk to your doctor, have them do a hormone panel, and don't buy anything from Autumn Calabrese. This has been Autumn Calabrese is Crazy, episode 1. We will continue. We'll keep an eye on this story as it develops because Belle Vitale is flopping and she is desperate. So I don't know what her future is going to look like because she'd become so enmeshed with Beachbody over the last 11 years. I think 21 Day Fix came out in 2014. So she had 10 years and she became more and more enmeshed with Beachbody. She put all her eggs in the Beachbody basket. Allegedly, she and Carl had a thing, are having a thing, had an affair, are having an affair. Allegedly, I have heard. That is what I've heard. Unsubstantiated. But getting rid of the MLM portion, that was not good for her because she lost a lot of her cult following. Also, her job is being an influencer. So she has all these discount codes for all these different things. And I'm how many of these things are you actually using? Now she's advertising another supplement, just looking at her Instagram story. I'm not going to talk about it and everything because it's just, I can't do it every day. But she's always shilling something new. And I'm how many things are you shilling? It's just, how many of them could you actually be using? And then how do you know what's actually working? It is wild. So I feel she's getting more and more desperate. I don't know what her future looks like in terms of her career, but I'm pretty sure she peaked at 80 Day Obsession and then every subsequent program is less and less. And she's trying to chase the glory of 21 Day Fix. And it's never going to be that again. It's not. So I wanted to do a video on her. I want to keep calling her out and we're going to check back in with Amy because people keep sending me some of the stuff she's saying in her stories and we're going to check back in with her. But yeah, just a a lot of nonsense to call out. So that's all I have for you today. If you got this far, leave me your thoughts. Have you done an Autumn Calabrese program? What are your thoughts on her? Who do you want me to look at next? I'm always open to your suggestions. If you got this far, please subscribe if you're not already, and give your pet a little kiss on their soft little head for me. And have a great day. Okay, bye!
What does perfect even mean?